We're from Abraham Primary.
We're here at the Science and Industry Museum.
We're interviewing Erin, who is a historian about rockets.
Who would have travelled on the train?
Well, on the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, there were first-class carriages and second-class carriages, but even for the second-class carriages you had to have quite a bit of money. And so it was mainly actually built for business people to do business between Liverpool and Manchester, and the wealthy passengers who could afford first-class tickets. Later on, once the railways spread around the country, there was cheaper fares introduced and a third class of travel, so more people could use the railways, but in the early days it was quite exclusive.
Was it safe to travel on the trains?
Well, it certainly wasn't as safe as it is today, because everything about the railway was experimental. So all kinds of safety features we have today weren't part of the locomotive or the carriages. So for example, the first class trains, even though they had a canopy to begin with, didn't actually have sides. So when you were travelling behind the locomotive in a first class carriage, you could get all kinds of like soot and hot ash and things flying in your face, and even like the rain and the snow and the elements.
Did anybody die on the train?
Well, there was a very, very famous casualty on the first day of the railway, so on the 15th of September 1830, we had all the VIPs on the railway, lots of politicians, actors and actresses, the local aristocracy, and the MP for Liverpool, a man called William Huskisson, had an accident when the train stopped to take on water for the steam engines. So he was accidentally run over and died later that day. So that was a really high profile tragedy at the very start of the railway.
Why was the station built here in Manchester?
Well, Manchester was the world's first industrial city. So for the 50 years before the railway opened, it had grown from being like a small town to the city that we see today. And there was all kinds of industry taking place, in particular the textile industry. So they built it here in Manchester because merchants in Liverpool really wanted to get raw cotton in particular into the city so that it could be manufactured and turned into textiles and then sent back to Liverpool and around the world.
Did the popularity of the train increase over time?
It did. So it was a resounding success. There was far more travellers than the railway expected. In the opening months there was like 1,000 passengers a day. And within a few years, all the cities and other places that needed to move goods around as well saw how successful the railway was and built similar railways up and down the country. And by about 15 years later, by the middle of the 1840s, they had what they called the railway mania, which just meant they were just being built absolutely everywhere. People were invested in railway lines because they were so successful. But then the whole system sort of went bust because people were building railway lines where they didn't really need them. And then things sort of settled down, and that's how we got the railway network that we have today.
No.